Hello everyone, and welcome to this Northern Regional College virtual event to celebrate International Women's Day, a global day to celebrate the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women, which is exactly what we will be doing today with our fantastic guests. Here with me today, we have Professor Terri Scott, Principal and Chief Executive of Northern Regional College, Connie Condren, Associate Lecturer in Built Environment and Advanced Technologies at Northern Regional College, and past and current students of the college, Joanne Caskey, Caitlin Atchison, and Joanne O'Boyle. So firstly, Terri, I would like to turn to you. If you could tell us more about the importance of International Women's Day to the college.
This is a very important day for us. Every year we try to do something that gives an opportunity for us to celebrate and showcase success. So it's a real pleasure to be here with everyone today. It's about raising awareness and letting people think of opportunities and opening doors. So it's an opportunity for us to reflect. It's something we do every day, but it's an opportunity to really look at, are we doing all we can to ensure equal opportunities to attract females to a broad range of curriculum programs and to careers.
And how does the college promote that positive environment for women?
Well, the best way to promote is by examples. So with using testimonials from our students, and this is something that we invest a lot of time in. At course level, we've got student reps. We encourage all courses to have student reps. We like to give students the opportunity to come forward so that we have a student voice. So the students contribute to all aspects of the course management, of course planning and course development. And then that means that engaging with employers, also to develop our program, develop our curriculum. But it's also about how we manage the timetable to make sure that it fits in with people's needs. It's the type of language we use, that the language that we use is inclusive. And that's something that our marketing team are very adept at, ensuring that we use the opportunity to open the doors to students. We work with 56 feeder schools that are in our direct catchment area, with training organisations and with literally hundreds of employers to place thousands of students each year in work placement. So as well as getting students into courses, we do a lot of work behind the scenes, the teams in the college, to ensure that they match the student with the right employers. And as far as possible, that the majority of students will have that opportunity to, if they don't do a work placement as part of their qualification, that they will do a case study, they will get insight into the workplace. And by giving access to role models is really, really important. So it's encouraging curriculum teams to ensure that the students, if they're studying the course, can see a track to a career. So there's no point sitting with somebody who's 18 and showing them somebody who's 58 years of age, because that seems like light years away. When you're 18, you want to see with somebody when they're 23 or 24. That probably even seems ancient when you're 18. When you're 22, 23, it's somebody when they're 25, 26. So it's ensuring that the role models are accessible and make have the ability to encourage the students to succeed.
That's great. It's good to hear how the college is aware of those concrete opportunities, but also those softer things like the language and inclusivity around that as well, to kind of have that multifaceted approach towards encouraging women into STEM. And how have you been inspired by women in the college?
Oh, it's just amazing every day of the week, at every opportunity. And I mean, last Friday we had our annual staff awards, and it was just we actually had to delay them because of COVID-19, and we had a virtual award event. So if you haven't seen it, you'll be able to pick it up on our website, and you'll see some of the fantastic achievements of our staff. And it's a bit like when you're looking at that, you don't say, well, we're going to have 50% of them are male and 50% are female, but certainly there was a very good balance. And I think that's something that you're just, if it becomes a task, then it becomes contrived. So you need to make sure it becomes second nature, that you're looking at the criterion for your staff awards, that's inclusive. Everything that you do, that you share, that you don't disadvantage one group of staff over another, whether it's because of what campus they're on, what gender they are, what subject they study. So everything is about STEM these days because we all use digital technologies so much. So if people feel somehow excluded from digital technologies, they're going to be excluded from so many opportunities. So we've been making a huge effort to ensure that our students all have access and their staff have access to the training and the toolkits and the platforms that they need. And we're all learning a lot every day.
Thank you. And lastly, you've spoken a lot about role models and the visibility of those role models and how important that is. You're an example to many women in the college, but who's inspired you in your career journey?
I would have to say it's a cross-section of men and women, and so many of the very successful women in my life have been, professors, have been teachers that I have had. They haven't necessarily been famous people. They've been wonderful, wonderful teachers, but my most obvious role model was my mother, because she was a teacher and she was a working mom all her career, and she managed to find time to rear her family and uphold great values that now I hope I do my best every day to live up to them. But that's the important thing for me. But very often having that role model that are accessible at different stages in your career. When you were an undergrad, you had somebody who was a postgrad. When you were a postgrad, you had somebody who had a job. And then you had somebody who was 3 or 4 years. So it's ensuring that you have those role models. So every one of us are role models to people at different stages in our career. And it's important that you actually stand back and realize that Caitlin, Joanne, that people are looking at you every day and saying, how does she do it? I would like to be like you. The important thing is, it's a bit like saints and scholars. They don't have to be the big famous ones. They can be the ones at the very end of the street or in your own company or in your own family.
Yeah, thank you very much, Terri. And now I'm going to turn to you, Connie, to tell us a bit more of some of the initiatives in the college that are supporting women in STEM and teaching those subjects, and really encouraging girls to become involved in those from a younger age. Connie, you are also the interim project coordinator of the WStem project, and you teach BTEC Extended Diploma in Construction, and you coordinate the provision of the CA level Environmental Technology course as part of the Macrofelt Area Learning Partnership. So a lot of strings to your bow. Connie, can you tell us more about this Area Learning Partnership? What are environmental technologies and what's the purpose of this project?
You would find that Northern Regional College partners with schools, and that would be in order to enhance the curriculum provision for pupils in sixth form in particular, because we are able through this partnership to offer applied subjects, which we otherwise wouldn't find in an ordinary sixth form. We would have ordinary subjects there like math and English and the other subjects. But by delivering, for example, environment technology to sixth form pupils, we are able to reach pupils and have them engage in technical subjects. And that is exactly what Terri alluded to there, that one has to get girls involved when they're quite young, that you have to foster their interest and that you have to be there for them, and show them this is what's on offer, this is what you could do, and these are your career options. Okay, and this particular partnership in the Macrofelt area, we have been involved with that since September 2014. And my colleague and I are delivering this subject. You asked me there, Sophie, what are environment technologies? Environmental technologies would be your photovoltaics, your wind turbines. Those would be used to generate energy in a sustainable way. Photovoltaics, using light, wind turbines using the wind, but we would also learn about, for example, bioreactors, which would be used to convert corn into ethanol. So that would be technologies as well. And in terms of our conversation today, International Women's Day, but also getting women into STEM subjects, environmental technology is a STEM subject. In fact, it is one that combines a whole lot. We find that a lot of girls come and join us for this subject. And for example, in our current A-level class, we have 45% girls, and girls are as good at environment technologies, as diligent, yeah, and they enjoy it. And it probably has to do with the fact, Sophie, that it is not plain engineering, plain technology and computers, yeah, but you have a range. And my experience is when I speak to girls when they come to us in lower sex, they're not entirely sure what it actually is that they want to do. And as we move along, and as they then fill in their UCAS form and all, and they tell me, look, Miss, we have decided to apply for this energy course. I'm quite delighted because that then shows, yeah, that through our working with them, that they now are on that career path into a STEM subject, yeah, and we have shown them the path essentially.
Thank you, Connie. That's great to hear how the college is encouraging women into not just traditional STEM, but those new technologies, which really are the future, and that's going to help those women and girls get into a sustainable and relevant career, and one that will be long lasting. Because as I said, those things are the future. So that's really interesting to hear the channels that the college has in place to get more girls involved in STEM from a school age as opposed to post school. So that's really interesting to hear. And it'd be interesting to see how they progress. Now we're going to move on to talk to some of the students. So we're going to head to the first of the two Joannes on today's session, which is Joanne Caskey. So Joanne, can you tell us a bit about your journey so far at the college and in your career, please?
Hiya. My journey has been quite a long one. I left school with all my GCSEs in 2006 and then went on to the NRC in Korean and did the BTEC with Connie in the built environment. That would have been 2007, 2008. I then had a bit of a change of direction and had kids. I also had a job in Asda the whole way through being a teenager. So I worked there for almost 10 years. And then after having my daughter in 2015, I decided that I needed something else to do. I was bored, I needed stimulation. So I went back to the college, got in touch with the guys that had taught me previously and Connie. And next thing I left and I was signed up for the foundation degree. So it was part-time, suited me perfectly, 1 day a week. I thought I would do this, maybe not, maybe do it. Ended up completing it. Got my distinction in the end. I did a year's placement in there as well. It should have only been, I think it was 3 months we had to do to get our qualification for work placement, and I spent 18 months in an architect's office in Korean, GM Design or Associates, and loved it. And now, after that was supposed to be me finished in education, but now I am actually in first year studying architectural technology and management. So that's where I'm up to right now, and I can't see myself stopping ever. But if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I wasn't going to do anything again. But it's, to be honest, I do think it's the lectures and everything in Korean. They have pushed me so much, they have done so much for me, and it is so interesting.
Brilliant.
That's great to hear. And why did you decide to pursue a career in the construction industry?
Well, I think I think about this, and I always wanted to do something like this. My dad is a plumbing and heating contractor, and he does everything. He builds. He's always renovated. Our first home we lived in, he built, so I grew up on the building site with him. And I think I've always just had that thought that that's what I would do. When I was choosing my GCSEs, as you were talking about, it goes right back to being in school. I chose art and sciences because I thought then that I wanted to be an architect. But also back then, in my mind, the only sort of female job in construction was architecture, when I'm not even doing that as such now. I'm doing architectural technology. So for me, I knew what I was doing, but as Connie and Terri was saying, I do think that it needs to be put back to when you're in school, because I knew I wanted to do that. None of my peers, none of my friends do anything in STEM.
That's great. And it being a sort of perceived as a male-dominated industry, has that ever affected you at all throughout your journey so far? Is that perception true?
It hasn't affected me, but yes, I do feel like especially females' perception on it is that it's just not there. That's what I've always said. When you say, even when I was back at 16 saying I was doing a BTEC in construction in the built environment, people automatically think that you're going to be a bricklayer, or you know, you're going to be doing something physical where you're going to get dirty and all this here. It doesn't mean that you can't do that either, but I think they think it's just one route and it's just going to be hard labor, which is so untrue as well. And I think loads of people's perception is that. For me, I've never had a problem. I've been encouraged, if anything, and from lectures and things like that there, they've encouraged even more, because if you can do well, you're maybe not noticed more, but I don't know, I feel like I've had the opposite. I have been encouraged to do it, and I've enjoyed that. You know, as you say, people do give you that encouragement and that positivity that you're doing something good. So I've kind of liked that as well, because obviously it's been a tough, long road for myself, but it's definitely, and then it's nice as well, people going, oh, what's that? Why did you choose that? You know, and then once you talk, they're like, wow, that's actually really interesting. You know, it is really interesting. Every day is different.
Oh, it's great to hear from your experiences, possibly how far society has come, but also there is still a way to go, and there's still a way to getting the visibility of those opportunities for girls in school, and you've touched on that quite a bit. What advice would you give to girls in school who maybe are considering a career in the construction industry, or know they want to do something different and something that's not traditionally for girls? What would you say to them?
Go for it. It was honestly, for me, it's the best decision I ever made. Like, I worked in Asda for 9 years, and I know that wasn't a final job, but the difference that you can have from a job, the difference of them two, from my job in the architect's office to in there, where I was, it was like family in there, because I was there for so long, is so different. You know, you can't compare having a job where you use your brain, you've got creativity, you know, you get encouragement. It's just so interesting. You'll learn every day for the rest of your life. That's what I've said as well. You'll never stop learning. You know, it's always going to be something different. And I just don't know why women wouldn't do it. You know, it's a great industry. It's well paid. There's so many opportunities. You could travel the world. You know, there's just do it. I don't know why you wouldn't do it in this day and age.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Joanne. It's lovely to hear someone with so much passion for what they do. Whilst we're all stuck working from home, it's nice to have that injection of enthusiasm. So thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Caitlin, we're now going to move on to you, and you're currently at Northern Regional College studying Level 5 Computing Foundation degree. Why did you decide to study computing? What made you interested in that?
I've got an awful lot of family members that are in the sector. I've got an older cousin, and she works in Deloitte as a manager, and I've got ones that work in Kainos, and one's just doing degrees still. But I didn't always want to do it, because whenever I was at school, like Joanne was saying, I wanted to do nursing. I done a placement in it, and I absolutely hated it. And then I was sort of stuck, because I chose GCSE subjects that was sort of like steered towards it. So then my cousin in Deloitte just says to me, you know, you can come mirror me for a day at work, and you can see how you like it. You can see the working environment and stuff. So I went to it expecting just sort of to do it to illuminate it, really. I wasn't really expecting to like it as much as I did. And then whenever I got there, I was like, oh no, this is what I want to do computing now. So.
And in terms of women in STEM, the reason we're all here today, and International Women's Day, have you found that the college has encouraged this? Do you feel you're in a minority in any way study computing? What's your experience of that been?
I think I'm definitely in the minority. Whenever I done my A-levels, there was 10 boys in the class, and I was the only girl. And now that I'm doing my foundation degree, there was 5 boys this year and 2 girls, and then last year there was like 15 boys and 2 girls. So I mean, we're definitely still in the minority, but I think that the college really is pushing for it, and I think that they're really helping me as well, because I think they're really good at responding and stuff. Like, if I ever have troubles with any of my coursework or my things, like, they're like, if they're not going to reply quick, then I think I would easily get discouraged and stuff. So like, quick responses really do help. And even seeing like my female lecturers, it's sort of like an inspiration that, you know, that you want to have the degree that they have, or you want to be doing what they do.
Yeah, that's great to hear that those role models are there in the college for you. You know, that they have that visibility that Terri was talking about earlier, which is so important for your kind of future career. And you're taking on the cybersecurity module next year. What skills are you hoping to gain from that? That's something that's just going to become increasingly important. So it's fascinating to hear that that's something that the college is offering.
I'm doing it at the minute, actually. So I'm doing it alongside my work placement. in my cybersecurity module, and in week 8 the IMSM joined us, and then they're going to help us go through things like business auditing and standards within the sector. Skill-wise, in addition to just learning about it, because I haven't done any of that ever before, so I've just been looking to get like a knowledge from it. But I think technical skills as well, because it's such a focused field, and so far I've only really been exploring small things within the sector. I just want to be able to like use experience really.
Very good. And what are your future plans once you've finished this course? Have you got more education in mind? Have you you pursuing a career? What are your next steps?
In September, I'm planning to go on to Ulster to finish off my degree to undergrad level and do computer science or software engineering, but I'm probably going to be doing more computer science because it's more like what I'm doing at the minute, which is more like what I enjoy. And then because I've been stuck inside for the past year, I think I might want to work abroad for a year, maybe travel a little bit.
That sounds like a pretty good plan, I'd say.
Caitlin,
thank you so much. It's great to hear your ambitions and your involvement in such a relevant sector and something that's going to be so big and exciting going forward. So it's great to hear from you. Thank you.
All right,
and last, but certainly not least, we are going to talk to you, Joanne O'Boyle, our second Joanne of the day. Joanne, tell me about your journey so far in your education and your career.
Well, just like Joanne number one, I kind of fell into construction in a way. I was actually worked in ASDA as well for quite a while. And I know I thought I wanted to go on and do something a wee bit more, just the exact same experience. And I got an interview with a local construction firm, and I was working with them as an estimating or as a tenant liaison officer for about 5 years, and then they gave me the opportunity to train and go further as an estimating assistant. So I was working alongside one senior estimator within that firm, and they gave me the opportunity to then study with the NRC in Korean and start my construction engineering with surveying course, which I'm now in the final year of. So from there, I actually went on and I'm working now with Heron Brothers and have been for about 1.5 years now. It's quite a larger firm, so there's about 3 senior estimators and 5 estimating assistants. But the time spent in my previous firm, I found I've got a good knowledge of the estimating department, but as Joanne said, you're learning every day. When it comes to construction, there's always something new. From being with Herons, I've actually been involved with the pricing of the NRC Korean tender, which Herons are actually successful in being awarded, which was very exciting. So I had a keen interest in that one in particular because I was able to be at the college and see the pricing and the different sides of that. So it was a very interesting project to be involved in. And Herons is a great firm that they're involved in pushing me forward and wanting me to grow further within the firm as well.
That's great to hear those opportunities you've had from your employers and then putting you forward for more training. I think that's really encouraging. And it's nice that you've almost come full circle doing a project then with the college's new campus. That's quite nice. And in terms of pursuing your career in the construction industry, what was the decision behind that? Why did you decide this industry?
It wasn't something like from school level I'd ever planned. Just like Caitlin, it wasn't something as a girl. I always thought that was the road I was going to go down. But I'm really glad I have found this route. I find there's such great opportunity within the construction industry, especially with Herons. There's always a push to better yourself within the field. Again, there's great opportunities like to grow further, to make yourself grow up the ladders, which is something that, if I had maybe just sat back in other fields, I wouldn't have had this opportunity. And like the money can be quite good as well as you go up the ladder, and that's the main important thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. It's great to have those goals of progression and getting up that ladder, because I think that's something that maybe women aren't encouraged as much to do as their male counterparts. So it's great to hear that you have had that encouragement and that we're moving forward there. Thank you to all of our participants today. It's been great to get those different viewpoints on International Women's Day and women in STEM. The theme for International Women's Day this year is Choose to Challenge. By challenging and calling out gender bias and inequality, International Women's Day aims to create a more inclusive world. And it's been fantastic to hear from all of you inspiring women today, all challenging gender bias in your career choices and your studies, and taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you both in the college and beyond. So just to wrap up, Terri, what would your advice be to these young women and other young women in their careers?
Well, excuse me, first of all, I'd like to thank you for taking the time and making yourself available this afternoon. And I know that your little short cameos of your own career and your work to date, Caitlin and Joanne will really inspire so many other students. So thank you, sincere, heartfelt thank you. And thanks to Connie for the work that she's doing on the Women in STEM project. My advice to girls starting out in their career will be to set a goal. And it's not something that they want to do, say, 10 years down, but you have a goal. And if you're in a job where you have a structured career path, that's great. But very often people find themselves that, maybe just through business pressures, that somebody doesn't sit down and say what your goal is. So it is important, in very big organizations, people will want to get the best out of the talent that they have, but if you are the person, the young employee, you're the talent, and only you can really drive that forward. And you get lots of support and you'll get lots of guidance, but it's important for you to have a clear idea of what you want to do. So that's my first thing, is to have a goal, either some ideas where your career is going to go in the next couple of years, and then have a goal for the year that you're in, is what you want to achieve. Set a realistic plan and never stop learning. I mean, you've all said that about how exciting learning is. Connie talked about how she's changed the curriculum, how it's completely transformed since Connie started teaching in that course. I taught computer science and it was exactly the same. As soon as I finished the course, Caitlin, I was ready to start all over again. So it's about the adaptability and being flexible, and the techniques, while pricing and estimating and sums and equations don't change, but the products, the logistics, nobody knew about Brexit. All of those things, you have to constantly be flexible and be adaptable to succeed. So embrace change and see it as a huge opportunity. And one final piece of advice to each of you and to anyone else listening is identify a mentor. And that could be your role model, but it could be someone who you respect and admire, a critical friend. So it doesn't have to be somebody in your industry, but it's somebody that understands you and understands your potential and the value that you can add. It's something that I've always benefited from. And sometimes the mentors that I have come and moved, and some are closer than others. And I'm pleased to say that at this stage, one of my mentors is somebody that I started off in my career as a postgrad when I was at Queen's, was my first supervisor. And over the years, I would have at times contacted with him, and then gradually we became really, really good friends, and our families became friends. But it's always important to have somebody who can hold you back and say, I think this is a good way to do it, and someone that you will respect and be able to take their advice, even if it's sometimes that you mightn't want to hear it. So a mentor is something that is really, really important. Someone who really has your interest at heart and knows how to support you to achieve your full potential and enjoy what you're doing.
Some very valuable advice there. Thank you, Terri. And thank you so much, everyone. It was a great conversation today.